Hey guys, today we're going to talk about 5 of the best beginner paddles you can get on the market right now. Now, what I mean by beginner paddles are ones that newer players can pick up as their first serious paddle. So if you're upgrading from something like a Amazon starter pack or a Costco starter pack, or if you just want to skip that whole step and get your first serious pickleball paddle, I think these paddle recommendations are for you. Now, because this list is aimed more towards beginners, these paddles will have the following qualities. They'll have a softer feel that's aimed more towards control rather than power, they'll have forgiving sweet spots, and they'll all be affordable at under $100. Now let's start at the top of the list and look at one of the best control paddles on the market right now, the Vatic Pro Prism series. Now Vatic does offer this series in 2 different shapes, the elongated V7 and the hybrid shape Flash. Of the 2, I recommend the Flash for beginners, since it's more maneuverable and has the better sweet spot compared to the V7. From there, you can select between a standard or long handle and 14 and 16mm core thickness options, but my recommendation is for the standard 5.3-inch handle and the 16mm core thickness. The thicker 16mm core is more forgiving and control-oriented than the 14, and while you can get more power with the longer handle, the standard handle provides you with a bit more paddle surface area and more overall sweet spot and forgiveness. The Prism series is made with the same construction process as the more expensive Yola Hyperion. It's a cold pressed paddle, so it leans towards control and also has foam injected into the edges of the paddle to add perimeter weighting that increases the sweet spot. For $90 after discount code, this is an insane deal and an easy recommendation for a player of any level. Alright, so the next 2 paddles we'll be talking about on this list are in that standard shape, so they're a bit shorter but also wider. First, we have the Luxe Finesse, and next is the newest paddle on this list, the 11624 Jellybean. Let's start with the Luxe Finesse. It honestly plays just like the Prism series, but with more control and stability from its shorter shape. While it does have less overall reach and power, it does make up for it by being quicker to swing. Overall, it's a very good control paddle as well, and it's priced even cheaper at $80, which drops down even lower after a discount code to $70. Now, while it is cheaper, it's not as durable in construction as the Prism series, and the handle does feel a bit lower quality, but overall, I still think it's a solid option and a great pickup for beginners. Now, the 11624 Monarch Jellybean is in a similar shape as the Finesse, but it's actually a tad bit shorter and wider. It's even faster in the hands than the Finesse, and a bit more stable feeling since it does have a wider taper at the top 2 corners. However, the biggest difference between the Jellybean and the previous 2 paddles is that it uses a layer of fiberglass in the surface along with carbon fiber, while the other 2 paddles only used carbon fiber. This fiberglass gives the ball a bit less dwell time on contact, so it comes off the paddle face a bit quicker, which gives the Jellybean just a bit more firepower than the other control paddles. It's also priced very affordably at $90 after discount code like the Vatic Prism series. Now the last paddles we'll be talking about are going to lean more towards the all-court category rather than control. So these are paddles made with the hot molded thermoforming process, which makes paddles a bit more stiffer and more powerful. Let's start by taking a look at the pickleball paddles from Friday. These are going to come in 2 different shapes, the flat top and the curved top. Of the 2, I recommend the curved top for beginners because it's a bit quicker to swing than its flat top counterpart. Like I mentioned earlier, these paddles are going to be more powerful than the control paddles on this list, as these lean more towards the all-court category. The one downside of them is that they use paint grit on the surface, so of the paddles in this video, the grip won't last as long and the spin will drop off quicker, but for a beginner paddle, I don't see this as a big issue. They also run a deal where you can get 2 of these paddles for less than $100, making them the cheapest paddles in this list and definitely a great option if you're in the market to pick up more than 1 pickleball paddle. Now for the last spot on this list, there are quite a bit of thermoform paddles that fall under that $100 price range, but there are 2 that I wanted to highlight and put in this spot. First is the standard shape Pickln Piknix Pro, and the next one is the hybrid shaped Honolulu Pickleball Company's Sword and Shield J2, which is on sale right now. Of the 2, let's start with the Pickln Piknix Pro. The dimensions are very similar to the Luxe Finesse, and it basically plays like a thermoformed version of it, so it leans more towards being an all-court paddle as it has more power. It does have a sturdier handle than the Finesse and is a better quality paddle. It's also very affordable at $70. As for the Sword & Shield J2, this plays like the thermoformed version of the Vatic Prism Flash 16mm. Similar dimensions, and it just leans more all-court as it has more power as well. It's currently on sale, and after a discount code, it drops down to $90, which is a crazy good deal for a thermoformed paddle. Now I know there were technically 6 paddles listed here, but I did want to provide different shape options for the last paddle slot, just so people could have more choices. Also, top 5 sounded better for the video title instead of top 6. Anyways, if any of you are interested in picking up any of these paddles, I've added links as well as discount codes in the video description below. Also, let me know down in the comments below if there are any other paddles you think should be added to this list.
Is on a podcast now.
892.
Consecutively, so he's going to be every week. He's on
Oh no! No!